Bam. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Real Reading Talk. I am your gracious host, Ms. Sasha. And with Real Reading Talk, I discuss the real systemic issues that are at the very core, the very foundation, in a real way, no sugarcoating, no chaser, as to why there are low levels of literacy in the Black community and the ways in which we can combat these issues together. And I welcome you all again. This is episode, y'all, 34. All right, y'all, still season one of episode 34 of Real Reading Talk. I thank you all for joining me. And I am so super excited because I invited onto my podcast a wonderful, awesome Black woman who is all about that literacy. All right, y'all. Y'all know I like to have guests on who are doing something when it comes to the literacy space, when it comes to our Black children. And this wonderful guest that I have on today, her name is Miss Pamela Owens. All right. And Miss Pamela Owens, I had the opportunity of first meeting her when we were working together at one of the local Montessori schools here in Cleveland. And I was just like so elated and just so excited to talk to her about what she has been doing when it comes to our Black children and trying to help them with their reading. And so without further ado, I would like for her to come on and introduce herself. And I would love for her to tell everybody about what it is that she does. And welcome, Miss Pamela.
Thank you very much, Miss Sasha. How are you today?
Oh, I am doing awesome, awesome, awesome. And I just want to look for the record, everybody. Today is my birthday. So, I'm feeling extra awesome. Hey, holla. Big 47 in the house, 47. Yes, ma'am. So, yes, I
Okay,
am
Miss Sasha.
doing, yay. I am doing
I'm so
great
happy.
now. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Well, of course, with this particular episode, the focus right now, we are focusing on Miss Pamela and her expertise, what she's been bringing to the table when it comes to helping us develop that culture of literacy in the Black community. And she, like I told her before, she, I believe, has that expertise because she's been working with our young Black children for some years now. And so I would like for you, Miss Pamela, to tell everybody what it is that you do when it comes to literacy in Black children.
Okay, thank you very much for inviting me, first of all. And what I would like to talk about is I am a tutor, a reading tutor. And this is something that I decided to do after a long career in corporate America. And it was something that I stumbled upon. It wasn't like, hey, I'm going to go out and be a reading tutor. And first of all, my t-shirt, love to read. Don't know if you can see it,
Yes.
but I do enjoy reading, and I was going to the library. And as I decided what would be I would call a retirement career, I was on the way to the library, and it was something as small as seeing a flyer in the lobby stating they needed reading tutors for children. So I inquired about it, and the organization was called Reading Corps here in the city of Cleveland. And you had to be of a certain age in order to join this group. And I was 1 year short. I'm not going to tell you what the year was, but I was 1 year short. And I waited because it was struck my fancy, like, I've always enjoyed reading and talking to children. So maybe perhaps this would be something that I would truly be interested in. And I waited that year. I contacted a gentleman by the name of Mr. Leonard Young, and he's, come on in. Yes, we'll need you. Okay. And when I arrived, they were so hospitable to me. They showed me everything that they needed from anyone who was willing to volunteer, because this wasn't even a paid position. This was a volunteer position. And you go in to the classroom in the schools of Cleveland Metropolitan School District, and you would read at the time to second graders. They were focused on second graders. And once I did my first lesson with a second grader, I realized just how much catching up needed to be done inside the school system. And it's not, unfortunately, just Cleveland Metropolitan, because I've also been outside other schools, into other school systems, and the need is strong in the Black community. It's definitely strong.
Mm.
The hook for me was after a couple of lessons, and one second grader realized, hey, I can read this. Instant gratification. Okay, instant gratification, like, oh, this is something I can do. And I enjoy when a child acknowledges after doing sight words, printing, alphabets, that they can read. And the glow in their eyes, the accomplishment, the feeling of accomplishment for them and for me was just great. So since then I've been hooked on it. And I guess I've been doing it for about, oh, maybe 10 years or more now. Okay, time goes by extremely fast. So again, I've had the opportunity to work in at least 3 different school systems around the area. Every school system has their own way of setting up their reading program. So I'm reading support when I go inside. If a child inside the school is slow to their reading level, it doesn't necessarily mean that they have to have some specific reading plan, but the teacher has acknowledged that this child needs additional help. I'm there to support the child.
Mm. Wow. Oh my goodness. Oh wow. That I mean, you said a lot of great things. Like one of the things that I wrote down was that how you said you when you saw the flyer, okay, that right there sparked your interest. Because obviously you knew you already had your interest in mind in terms of you said you already enjoyed reading and you already loved talking to children. And that's something that I hope that everybody who is listening pays attention to, because that's something that we want to start young with our babies. We want to make sure that we are trying to gear them towards things that they enjoy doing, because that right there is going to start them on their journey as to what type of career or what profession or what business that they can start. And so just like how you said, how you came out of corporate America, but then you wanted to do something that was more, closer to that was more gratifying to you, something that where you saw that you can help, our young people. So right there is like just so awesome. I'm like, oh my goodness. So what I would like to kind of do though is let's take a couple steps back into your childhood though. So I would like to know, how was the reading culture in your home? Did you grow up in a home where your parents, you saw them reading a lot? Was it a thing where they took you to the library a lot? Walk us through that, please.
Okay, in my home, both my parents were readers, and
Yeah.
in asking you that question, it's like, you know what, they were readers. Okay, my mom, my dad, um, always had a book in their hand. They would take us to the library. I'll tell you something that my older brother and I did one time. We would read whatever our parents were reading, and keep in mind we were children.
Okay. Oh, this is getting juicy, y'all. Come on.
And one day, my brother runs from the back room and says, "Hey, what page was mom on?" I'm like, "I don't know." He said, "Well, I was reading, I dropped her bookmark, and I don't know. She's going to know we've been reading her books."
Oh
Okay.
my, that's so cute. Now that's
Yeah,
cute.
we were really trying to figure out where to put the marker back. But yes, we've had books in the home from the library. And also, there used to be a magazine for children. I don't know if it's still in print, called Weekly Readers. That was something we read in the classroom. And
Okay.
then over the summer, your parents could subscribe where the weekly readers would continue to come to your home over the summer.
Mm-hmm.
And what else was another? Oh, my parents had another book company, and I cannot call the name, but I can picture the books. They would come in single books, hardcover, but they would
Mhm.
have more than one story inside the book.
Okay.
So continuously there were books coming into the home. Now that you asked, they were, and I wish I could remember the name of it, but I mean it's been so long ago. But it was just something that I enjoyed, that I truly enjoyed. I'm waiting at the post office, or not the post office, at the door for the mailman for the
Mhm.
books to arrive. So you just really have to have a love of books. My brothers, they like books, but not the same way I like books. I like the fairy tales, those sort of things. My brother, the older brother, liked books that were related to mechanics. Okay, and he wanted to put
Mhm.
things together. He actually put his own bike together. My dad's like, "Oh, you want me to buy your bike? No, I'm going to put it together and on my own." And that was a great thing. The only thing was that he took the brakes off my bike to put it on his
Um,
bike.
uh-oh. Now wait. Did you find that out by getting on your bike, start riding, and then notice it didn't stop? Oh,
A little bit of that, yes,
oh
yes.
goodness.
And then the younger brother, he enjoyed music. So anything related to music in a magazine, and he liked cars as well.
Okay.
Um, those were things. So through that, I learned early in life that people read what interests them. Okay. So if you can get a child, find out what the child is interested in. Okay. If the child is interested in cooking, making things, crafts, arts, mechanical things, put those in front of the child. Because many times the child will think, well, you know what? I don't like this book. You don't like it because, oh, I don't like to read. You don't like to read because it's not something that you're interested in. So if you can get something that is interesting to the child, then they're going to look at it. They may not read the book all the way through the first time, but it's there, and they know that those things exist outside of fairy tales. Okay, we have children that definitely have to deal with the real world 24/7, whereas in a slower uh historical time, in my time, I did not. Okay, I had time to fantasize and romanticize whatever, but
Mhm.
children this day and
Mm.
time have to definitely read about things that are going on so they can keep up with what's going on in life.
Oh my goodness me. I, of course, one of the main things that I wrote down is that how you said people will read about things that interest them. And that right there is so key because you reminded me of how I remember I was subbing at one of the schools, one of the high schools, and I was talking to the students about reading. And so, and one of the young students came to me and she was like, how do I choose a book that, that I would like to read? And I literally told her what you just said. I said, so what is it that you enjoy doing? If you enjoy cooking, you enjoy sewing, fashion, like you
Right.
said, fixing things. There's a book on any and every subject. All right. There's a book on any and every subject. And because I think, and you tell me, Miss Pamela, I mean, do you come across people feeling like it is just something that is just so overwhelming in terms of how to get our children into reading? And in my opinion, I think it's just as simple as what you said. Do you come across that where you have parents just feel like I don't know what to do, but then you come back, tell me your experiences with that in terms of talking to parents
Oh,
about their
oh,
children.
okay, I do experience that, and the parents are overwhelmed, but systems have made things so difficult in many cases to make the parent believe that they cannot help their own child, when you just have to simplify. Okay, what you're with your child, what does your child like to do? Okay, if your child likes gaming, then get him a book on gaming, or her on a book on gaming. Okay, if your child likes, I'm gonna just say like you just said, fashion, then get her a book on fashion. And this book may have her do more than just read. It may have her, okay, on the next page we want you to draw the fashion that you think you want to do. So it becomes now interactive without any batteries. So it's
I love it.
it's exposure. Our children lack exposure, and I'm going to say it like this:
Yes.
in our community, our children lack exposure to the right things. And I'm going to repeat that.
Come
Our
through.
children lack exposure to the right things, because
Mm,
there are many things that they should not be exposed to, especially at such a young age. Okay. But at a young age, the right things will help them, and they will have more knowledge, and they will know more is outside in the world than just what they see on their block.
mm. Wow. Wow. That is just simple. It's very simple. And I think that's the thing that people tend to do. We tend to overcomplicate things. We want to, turn something into this grandiose, oh my God, we got to, go and do this and research all of these things. And, we got to go and get the books on these. And it's like, you're saying like simple, like common sense stuff. And I
Common
know
sense.
the saying goes, common sense is not always common to everyone. I get it, but and that's why I wanted to have this podcast, because I wanted to bring it back to the real stuff. And that's why I love inviting people on my podcast who are real, who keep it real. They're working with the children in the community, they work with the adults in the community, and they're all about trying to empower our Black community in particular when it comes to developing that culture of literacy. And again, for those of you just tuning in, I am the host of Real Reading Talk. This is the podcast that I started. And this podcast, again, is focusing on talking about how we have these issues of low levels of literacy in the Black community, but we're not stopping there. It's about solutions. This is a solutions-oriented podcast, all right? And this is my wonderful, wonderful guest, Miss Pamela Owens. She is a reading tutor. And now I want to actually talk a little bit more about what it is that you do as a reading tutor. Was there any type of training that you have got? Did you learn from somebody? Tell us, how did you get your training, if there was any training, and also what is it that you do to help our children in their sessions?
Okay, there was training. The training, well, starting out with Reading Corps, they had their special program, and we did our training through working with the Cleveland Metropolitan School District. That's at my very beginning. They had at least 2 to 3 conferences, or I would call them seminars, a year, to make sure that we would have information about how to train students from kindergarten through 3rd grade. And that's about the time, or just before the 3rd grade guarantee in the state of Ohio came about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there were certain criteria that had to be met. And then additional training I received was from AmeriCorps. Many people are familiar with AmeriCorps outside the United States, but AmeriCorps has several programs inside the United States. And one was called AmeriCorps Read. Okay, and that was definitely at the beginning of the 3rd grade guarantee for the state of Ohio. And the 3rd grade guarantee for the state of Ohio is every child must be able to read at a 3rd grade level. And if they are not able to read at a 3rd grade level, they're guaranteed support, and they're guaranteed an opportunity to catch up with their fellow, I'll just say 4th graders, once they reach the required level in reading.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So, and then with each school system that I've entered, they have a reading or literacy department, and the literacy director in each school system for me would be Cleveland, Maple Heights, Garfield Heights. Um, each school system has their own literacy team, and
Mm-hmm.
each school system gives you training as far as how they want their particular child not to read, but to train to support that particular child in your school system. So no matter where you go, you're going to get training. If you're hesitant about, well, I don't think I know enough or I have enough training,
Mm-hmm.
volunteer, join a team, and
Mm-hmm.
you will be trained. You will never be left alone as far as tutoring. Now,
Mm.
one of the things I enjoy doing in the tutoring is I call it my own tutoring system, which is I call it the color purple system. Okay. And the
Okay.
color purple is there's that segment in the movie
Uh-huh.
where the two sisters are learning how to read, and one sister kept pasting up whatever it is, a door, put the word door up there, write it on an index card. This is a door, and these are things that you use every day. The
Mm-hmm.
child will speak, but doesn't necessarily know how to spell it. Door, 4 letters, right?
Right.
Boom. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Window, you look out a window every day,
Yep.
put it up there. So simple things, again, it goes back to it does not have to be difficult. You
Right.
just need to do it. You just need to do something, exposure. And
Mm.
they like it. So um, another thing is I've learned on my own,
Okay.
and it was one of my other training sessions, they brought up people learn differently, and that's a common sense thing.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody learns differently. So
Right.
find out how your child learns. Okay. I have
Mm-hmm.
one little fella that was a kindergartner,
Mm-hmm.
and sitting down, he didn't get it too much. But
Uh-huh.
one day I took the premise of movement, because movement is a way that some people learn. An example, the adult example, what it was to me was many times when people are running with their buddies,
Yeah.
they're talking and
Yep.
learning from each other. Okay, so I took that concept in realizing the movement, and I
Mm-hmm.
took basic alphabet cards, threw them on the floor in the cafeteria, and
Mm-hmm.
carved out an alphabet for the child to find. The child
Oh,
jogged over, found the alphabet, and brought it back to me.
wow.
And trial and error, didn't know what was going to happen, but I've used it since then because this
Mm.
A, what's the A? Oh, I think that's the A. And if it wasn't right, I'll say, oh no, this isn't right. Let's try again. Put
Mm.
back, and he goes back and try to find the correct alphabet. So,
Wow.
everybody learns differently. I find for myself, I am a reading, writing person. Okay. Some people can look at something and learn immediately.
Right.
But if I read it and write it down, I'm going to retain it longer. I may not even go back to my notes, but something in writing what I need to do sticks with me. And then the third thing, which is many children,
Mm-hmm.
is auditory or music, sound.
Right.
Why do we sing the alphabets? Okay. So those are all common things that we do. They don't cost money. We just need to do them.
Mm. I mean, simple. And I just love your approach because it is just it's so practical, it's so relatable. And and you're just straight to the point. You're like, okay, these are things that you tried, you saw that it worked, and you're reminding us that this is what we have to do. And also too, for my parents out there who are listening, you don't have to go and get training to do any of these things. Just like you told us, this is something that, I love that color purple system, by the way. I made sure I wrote that down. That's cute. I'm like, oh my, and because I saw the movie Color Purple once, maybe uh halfway through a second time, but I don't remember that part. So I'm gonna have to go back and what I'm saying, and go and look at that. But I'm like, that right there. And I've heard about that, man. I've actually had used that method before, and we were trying to actually teach our children some Arabic words. And so
Mhm.
we had, my kid's dad, he had wrote the words in Arabic on the card, like for example, the word cabinet. And he wrote it in Arabic, wrote the word in English, and then put it on the cabinet door. So right there, you know what I'm saying? Exactly. That is just so it's just so easy. And the key thing is that, though, like you said, as we're learning these things, and as I'm talking to you all in the audience, I'm talking to myself, we have to be consistent. And
Yeah.
that's something that, I'm hearing you say. It's like we have to do it. And we also have to, as they say, wash, rinse, repeat, wash, rinse, repeat.
Mhm.
So that right there is just, it's great. You know what I'm saying? What you're doing, what you're imparting to us. Now, what I want to also ask you is about the children that you work with in particular. Now, because you pretty much work with our Black children, right? For the most part.
Mhm.
Okay. So what would you say? is a lot of the different issues that you see with the children that you work with in terms of the struggles? What are the main struggles that you usually come across?
Okay. Actually, a higher percent are Black students, but I
Hmm.
also work with white students as well.
Okay.
And what I see, because all children need assistance that come to me,
Hmm.
but what I see lacking not from our schools, it comes from our homes. And that is the parents not sitting down and actually working with the child.
Okay.
And right, all you have to do, yeah, I'm gonna, as you say, no chaser.
Yep.
They're in the white community, Asian
Okay.
community,
Okay.
their children are read to consistently.
Hmm.
They have some type of book in their hand on their own.
Okay.
And they say the vocabulary is so much higher because they're continually hearing words from birth, sometimes even before birth. Okay, that does not happen in our community, and there's no reason why it should not be happening.
Hmm.
Um, Sometimes the first time a child sees a book is when they enter school, and that should not be happening in our community. This year for me, I was working with a student and it was time to go home and like, okay, well, and repetition is not bad. Okay. Some people feel you read a book one time and then you don't have to read it anymore. No, repetition is not bad. It's good to read a book over and over.
Hmm.
Okay. Because you have the understanding, you know the words, and now you can work on your fluency and comprehension.
Right.
Okay. Reading a book.
Yep.
Okay, unfortunately, this child, like, what book are you going to read? She said, I don't have any books. I mean, you don't have any favorite books? No, I don't have any books in my home at all. And I was totally startled and saddened to hear that. So I had to go find her some books immediately. Okay.
Hmm.
And again, books do not have to be expensive. We have these stores called dollar stores. Step
Hmm.
in, they have a nice selection.
Yep.
And I picked up 5 books I gave to her that she could take home. And they were hers. Okay. For me, I've never heard of a home not having any books, especially for children.
Right.
Okay. And that concerned me. And if if any way, aunt, uncle, uh, big brother, whoever, if you can pick up a child for one, pick up a book for one of your siblings, please do so. You know,
Yep.
um, one or two at a time, and you're building a library. Okay. And that feels good. Ownership. A
Yep.
child knows that I have books of my own. Okay. And somebody, be that person, somebody read it to them for the first time. Okay. Read it together. Okay. But it's starting that stepping stone of increasing vocabulary.
Mm, mm. Wow. I mean that, but what really is just tripping my head out is the fact that, and again, like you said, no chaser, because that's the name. This podcast is Real Reading Talk, and we got to keep it real 100. And it's about, we understand where the systemic issues when it comes to the low levels of literacy. And I talk about this on my episodes in terms of how we understand how our ancestors were enslaved and how they were, subjugated to total, oppression, domination, saying anything that a white person told you you had to do, that's what you had to do, or what you couldn't do. And one of the things that we knew we couldn't do was learn. Apologize for the motorcycle in the back. We could not learn, we could not read, even though I remind, my audience about how we come from a legacy of literacy, though. We come, in African tradition, literacy, the oral tradition, telling the stories, all of that stuff, that comes, from our ancestors, and even having, the first university, the Sankore University, which was in West Africa in Timbuktu. All right. So we come from a legacy of learning. We come from a legacy of literacy, having
Right,
books. That was an honor. Books was actually worth more than gold.
right,
Okay. So it's not like a thing where Black people inherently, we just don't want to learn or read. We understand where that comes from, you know, but as the old saying goes, when you know better, you do better. And
Right.
so when we start learning about how, wait a minute, yes, this was a systemic plan to keep us in an oppressed, enslaved state. Now we have to start changing that mindset. And
Absolutely.
that's really what Miss Pamela is talking about. You're talking about a mindset in terms of what we have to do. Just like how, I definitely want to, let our parents know, again, giving that credit to you as far as that color purple system. I really, really like that, a lot. And again, I've heard that before, but I like your term to it, because it's like, you connected it to something that you saw, activating your prior knowledge. And then you're like, hey, wait a minute. This about to be something I'm coining, right? So that's just something exclusive to you that you started, but that's something that we can be implementing in the homes. And this is real talk. As Miss Pamela said, you all, hey, listen, my parents, the libraries, you don't have to go if you cannot get books at that particular time in terms of purchasing books. But by the way, I will say this, I've gotten books from the thrift store. I'm just saying 50 cents, 75 cents, $1, so books that are in great shape. So if you feel like, what, I don't have these big name, bookstore money, don't worry about it. Go to that local thrift store. Go back there and grab a whole bunch of children's books and try to get books that represent our Black children, by the way, Black people. That's what I'm searching for a lot. But these are things in which that we can do in order to get rid of that aspect of a child, like you said, one of your students coming in saying, I don't have a book at home.
Mhm.
That's that right there, y'all, is blasphemous. Real talk. That's blasphemous. Ain't no reason. And I'm gonna get off my soapbox and let Miss Pamela go ahead and answer some more questions. But I need to say this. Ain't no reason in 2021 that our Black families should have homes, apartments, houses, wherever you live, and ain't not one book in there. No, that right there, that should not be. And then those same children, I better not be seeing them at school talking about, what new pair of shoes that they got or they want. You can get the shoes, you can get the device, but you better make sure that you matching it with books.
Right.
You get a new pair of shoes, okay, you get a book too that matches it. Because when we're doing that, then we're showing them, hey, look, this is what we value here in this house. We
Right.
value education, we value reading, we value learning. And that's what we should always be trying to do. And we need to change that trajectory. So that right there, yeah, that's a no-go. But and I
Okay.
also, yes, go ahead. I want you to
I
go ahead.
didn't want to just thought. I'll just say, hold on. You mentioned the library, and I forgot about talking about the library. That
Yes.
is another resource. Okay,
Yep.
a library card is costs nothing. All
Yep.
you need to do is go in. I like to represent the East Cleveland Public Library. I worked there a couple of years, and one of the things that we did was promote library cards. And many people think, well, do you have to pay for a library card? No, just walk in and request one. Fill
Yep.
out the form, and you have access to a building that is filled with all types of books. Okay, so come in, see us, East Cleveland Public Library, Cleveland Library. Cleveland has one of the, and when I say Cleveland, the city of Cleveland, if you really want to go someplace that's really magnificent, a mini tour within the city, go to the Cleveland Library downtown. We
Mm,
even have the buildings named after one of our Congressman Lewis Stokes. And then I don't want to tell a story. I think it's part of for his brother as well, because they were two brothers that were into education. So you can
mm,
challenge me by going down and see if I am correct about whose name is on the buildings or if they're both on the buildings. But you don't have to worry. Adults have their own card, and the children have their own card as well at the East Cleveland Public Library. So they're starting you out with 3 books. Okay, read them, return them, and then get another set of books. Okay, but all Northeast Ohio is basically, I can say in summary,
mhm,
um, an educational center. And there's a
mm,
lot of free education out here. but you have to know that it's here and it's available to you. So those are two places I can definitely tell you book resources are unlimited. So I
Uh,
wanted to make sure it's that. And then the
no.
other thing,
Mhm.
library has specific programs for children. Okay, so if you are a parent that's uncomfortable with reading, and again, no chaser, I discovered that some of the parents, it's not that they don't care about their children reading, they don't know how to read.
Mm.
And they need to get in contact with people to help them learn how to read. And there is a resource in each and every library in whatever community that you're in, and they have a children's department and they have children programs. And there are many children's programs where the children are reading out loud. And guess what you can do, adult? You can sit in and read out loud along with them and start building up your vocabulary and your learning, your reading practices.
Mhm.
Okay. Your child doesn't have to know that you're insecure about your reading, but it's available to you to help you read. And sometimes if you start with your child from the bottom, you learn it together.
That's
So
right.
there's more
That's
than one way to learn.
wow. Can you, is there like any particular story that you would like to share in terms of how you have found out that there was a parent or a couple of parents that didn't know how to read? Was there a way that you have found that out?
Basically, it's hesitancy. They're very hesitant when you start talking about reading a book. Hey, your son liked this book. Okay,
Okay.
this evening, he wanted me to pick it out and give it to you so you can read to your child.
Okay.
Book is either never opened
Oh,
or there are excuses why they won't be able to do it.
wow. Okay.
Okay, so it's like, okay, there's something going on here.
Okay.
Okay, and
Mm.
it's difficult. You want to sometimes, at least I do want to approach and say, like, this particular resource is available, but
Mm-hmm.
then you don't want to offend. Okay.
Yeah. And because that's what I was thinking about in terms, because my next question was going to be how how should a person approach that situation? So if they see just like how notice, a couple of telltale signs, hesitancy, the book did not get open, they had some excuses. So how, in your opinion, you know what I'm saying, what would you suggest that somebody could do? You know what I'm saying? Because, and that's the whole thing. It's like, again, we're trying to create solutions here. We don't want to keep, and we know how it is in the Black community. We know how we are with stuff. It's like, a lot of time, again, real talk, real reading talk. It's like, we ain't trying to tell folks our business. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We trying to keep it moving. We trying to handle, you know what I'm saying, what we need to handle and keep it pushing. We don't want nobody to be having a pity party for the most part for us, which is great things. I love that about my people. We resilient. We like, hey, look, man, you ain't about to feel sorry for us. We got this. But at the same time, there comes a time though where we do have to ask for help. So how would you propose somebody would, come and say, hey, look, is this something that I can help you with, in terms of reading? How would you propose to go about that?
Okay, if someone were to come to me and say that they needed help in reading, the
Mm-hmm.
first place I'm going to direct them to is the library, whatever library is in your community.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if it cannot help, definitely the East Cleveland or the Cleveland uh, Library main branch,
Mm-hmm.
and ask for the adult department and say, I need a tutor.
Okay.
Or you can ask for the reference desk. And the reference desk in any library is the department where they search and help you find the resources that you need.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Okay.
Okay, so
Okay.
that's the starting point. You need
Yeah.
books, literacy, reading tutor. Okay, no
Yep.
matter what age, they're going to be able to direct you. And
Right.
who knows, someone on the staff may be doing something as well. Okay, right
Mm.
there, they may have reading program within the library for adults. Okay,
Right.
no one knows what's going on except for the two people that are interacting.
That's right. That's right. That is absolutely correct. And I actually, I remember I was watching, because I was like, looking up some YouTube videos in terms of like reading and reading tutors and all of that. And I remember coming across this video where they had did this show or whatever, and they were following a few people who were adults, who did not know how to read, and they were just showing how, they were like the one man, he was a grandfather. And he was basically, he was struggling because he knew he wanted to read his granddaughter a book. And just like how you said, he was doing things like they were showing how he would, be like, oh no, she like, read to me, grandpa. And he's like, oh no, I want you to read it. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So right there showing, the signs or whatever. But then he was getting that help. He wound up getting some help. It was some, program that they had, for him to be able to get that help. And then he actually was able to get to the point to where he was able to read his grandbaby a book, and that was his incentive, you know what I'm saying? Because he had that special relationship with his granddaughter. And that was one of the things that really pained him. He's like, man, I want to be able to read this book to my grandbaby. And that's something I'm thinking about to add to what you're saying, Miss Pamela. It's like people have to think about those types of incentives. Like, that's another way to connect to your child. It that's a long lasting, enduring way, to connect to your child, because I think about when you said you grew up around books and reading and all that. That's not what I grew up around. All right. So, and that's something, in which I'm like, we don't need to have that, for our children. Our children need to have those connections with mom, with dad, with grandparents on that level of reading, having that, creating that connection. Then it makes you talk about other things that you experienced and all of those sorts of things.
Right.
Yeah. So you were like really hitting the nail on the head. I wanted you to tell everybody too, really quickly about the East Cleveland Public Library, the Friends of the East Cleveland Library. Can you tell us about that? What they're about? They're definitely a great resource.
Absolutely. The Friends of the East Cleveland Public Library. Well, the East Cleveland Public Library, let me say this, has been around for over 100 years. Let's see, the library is known for its jazz concerts or Sunday jazz concerts, their children's programs, community-based meetings. So there's a lot of things that are going on at the East Cleveland Public Library.
Mhm.
Post-pandemic, the hours are 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. They are closed on Friday, but they open up again on Saturday and closed on Sunday.
Okay.
Okay, the Friends of the East Cleveland Library have been around for over 50 years. And our mission is, yes, to support the library. The library has its own personal budget, but we are a fundraising group of people for the library as well in order to uh, add to any additional program that's outside the budget, or it could even support it as well. But our job is definitely to do fundraising, and we try to do fundraising, fun things. We've had a concert with a comedian, Cool TLC. We've had a bus trip to Detroit recently to the African American Museum in Detroit, Michigan, and the
Oh,
Underground Railroad.
what?
And we're planning something for 2022. So the final works aren't on it, but it's going to be exciting. So, and otherwise, I would spill the beans and say exactly what it was,
Of
but
course.
everything's finalized. But definitely, the Friends, we're open. We want it to be not interracial, because it is anybody's related. What I was trying to say,
Right.
intergenerational.
Intergenerational. Hmm.
Right. We want it to be intergenerational, because we want the organization to continue. We want new ideas. Many of the people in the group are seasoned, okay, but we're willing to learn new things like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Okay, we need younger people. You got to be bright, uh,
Right. Right.
account as well, but we need younger people to add in new technology ideas, new ideas in general. But we want to
Hmm.
definitely be a fun group. We have an open mind and want to do different things to raise funds, but we want it to be entertaining as well.
I love that. So how if how can someone be a part of that? Is there like a fee they have to pay? Is there what type of, application? Where can they go to find out how to sign up to be a part of this group?
Okay, you can go to the East Cleveland Public Library and
Mhm.
you can contact our circulation desk.
Okay.
There is an application there,
Okay.
and the fee for general member is only $10.
What? That's it?
$10 a year.
Oh, wow. And see,
So
it's funny, and it reminds me because I was actually trying to see, I'm telling on myself because I was supposed to join, and I don't know what I did, got sidetracked. So I got to go back and make sure that I join it because I appreciated when you invited me to do those readings. That was nice.
yes,
I
we
really liked it.
African American reading. I forgot about that. We did,
Yeah.
but that wasn't a fundraiser. Everything we do was not a fundraiser. That was
Okay.
just African American reading, and we just wanted to get together and recognize the month of February, African
Okay.
American Black
Mm-hmm.
History. Okay,
Right.
and everyone is asked to read a article or that they wrote or someone else um, about a Black history or African American
Mm-hmm.
that work that they read. It could be poetry, it could be writing. We had one gentleman one year, he was an actor. He decided or an actor and a playwright, and he decided to read part of his play in the group of people that were there so that he can make adjustments. But he's a Black writer, and it was
Mm.
legitimate coming abreast on a board of writing. So, but no, we had Lanston Hughes, which is a favorite. We
Mm.
had Maya Angelou. So different. You choose. Some people choose someone that no one ever heard of, but they're a
Right.
Black author, and it's new information to the group. So all are welcome, and it's during the month of February. African American Read In.
That is nice. Now, I will say this. I would suggest a little suggestion. It'd be nice to see us doing, you all, implementing that even throughout the year, because even though we know that we've been relegated, in the white social structure, rather, you know what I'm saying, in terms of when we're supposed to honor Black people. But as Black folks, as we know, people have been saying Black History 365. All right. So we got to remember that hashtag Black History 365. So even if, that's something that can be done even, beyond February, I think that would be awesome too,
Okay.
to implement.
And you are about like the fifth person that we're going to do it. We are going
Oh,
to do it. Have
oh, good.
suggestions as well,
Oh,
because they come out of the African American reading and they say they truly enjoy it. And
yes.
we do try to be Black 365 days a year.
Hello.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Exactly. And proud of it. All right. Unapologetically. That's what I'm talking about. So now what I wanted to do now is we are coming to close to the end of the podcast. So I would love for you to leave us with, I would say, three ways in which that we can help our children develop that culture of literacy in the homes. Because again, like you said, one of the things that you just mentioned, you said you see a lot of the issues are coming from the homes where the children are not having that exposure to literacy, where they're not, being read to like they should be, those sorts of things. So what I want you to come up, just like how you did with I like that color purple system. I'm liking that, Miss Pamela. So if you could come up with three ways, if it's 4 or 5, that's fine. I just say 3. I like the number 3 and 5 too. But
Mhm.
in which parents can help to implement that culture of literacy in their homes.
Okay. The first thing would be reading to your child on a daily basis. It could be something small, okay?
Okay.
It doesn't have to be serious. It can be a fiction book. It can be a nonfiction book. It can be a corny joke book. And let them, oh, knock, knock, who's there? Oh, that's corny. Get out of here.
Right.
Okay, that's number. Number two, one of the I just was introduced to a young woman by Zoom, and her name is Cicely Lewis, and she was nominated as the woke librarian. I think
Okay.
it was
The woke
it
librarian.
was either 2019, 2000, it could be 2019, I'm not sure. Okay, but you can look her up on the internet,
Okay.
and she has arranged a grouping of books, because I've been talking about the younger students, but
Mm-hmm.
a grouping of books to replace, instead of Shakespeare, read
Okay.
this book. Okay, instead of somebody else, read this
Mhm.
book. And her alternative book is a book about the in the Black community, or the characters are Black characters.
Okay.
Okay, by Black authors. But please
Mm-hmm.
look her up, Cicely Lewis,
Cicely
woke librarian.
Lewis. Okay.
Okay, and she's known as the woke librarian. So
Okay.
that would help our middle school and high school students.
Oh, that's good. So look, so that's your second piece. Is the first one you said reading to your child on a daily basis, corny joke book. It could be, riddles, whatever, something small, but just making sure you're doing it daily. And then you said looking her up, Cicely
Yes.
Lewis, the woke librarian.
Yes,
Okay.
she deals with all books, but her top
Okay.
20, well, all levels of books, but her
Okay.
top 20 recently is for students that are older,
For older, for like the middle and high school grade.
middle high
I'm
school.
do that for my daughter. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
And then the third thing would be continuous exposure to new words and putting them in a sentence,
Ah,
not
I like it.
necessarily reading a book.
Oh,
Those
say
flash
that again. Continuous
flash
exposure. Uh-huh.
to new words to
To new
increase the
word.
vocabulary,
Okay.
and putting those words in a sentence, because we'll show a child a word, but we don't show them how to use it. And then
Yeah.
see it in a sentence, sometimes they get confused. I know you know
Yep.
this, but you haven't seen it in a different context.
Mm.
So we
Wow.
have
I
to.
loved it. Oh, wow, Miss Pamela. Oh man, y'all, I hope y'all got your notebooks, pens, pencils, crayons, whatever you choose to write with, because Miss Pamela just dropped 3 nuggets for us. Oh my goodness. So the first one, and this is to help develop that culture of literacy in our homes. This is helping us to change that mindset in our homes when it comes to reading and making sure we value reading. Number one, reading to your child or children on a daily basis, corny joke books, riddles, something small, whatever, short, sweet. You want to start off with, do that. Number two, she said, look up the woke librarian. If you don't remember her name, Cicely Lewis. That's her name, right? Cicely Lewis. Okay. Yep. She said, look her up, the woke librarian. And she has all levels of books, but she says she focuses on the top. She has the top 20, which is for older students, which I'm glad you said that. That's good. Because a lot of times I know we tend to focus like on the young ones, because I'm a reading tutor, obviously, as you know as well, and my age group is pre-K through fourth. But a lot of times we tend to forget about our middle schoolers and our high schoolers. And that's a great point. Thank you. Thank you. African American, the woke librarian. And number three, I like that continuous exposure to new words and putting them in a sentence. And you know what you made me think about? This is one of the things I've been doing for some months with my children. I've been giving them a list of 10 words from the SAT vocabulary word list,
I did.
and I give them a test once a week. And so what they first have to do, they have to write the words 3 times. Then the next day, they have to look the words up. They have to define the words. Then the next day, they have to write the words in a sentence. And yep, literally. And then what I do, and I'm glad you said it, because a lot, there are some words on there that I don't know the meaning of. So as I'm giving them their test and I'm using it in a sentence, that's actually helping me better understand the meaning of that word as well.
Yep.
Wow. Oh, wow. Miss Pamela, you didn't drop it. You dropped it. Oh my goodness, man. Oh, I appreciate you so much for coming on for episode 34 of Real Reading Talk. I know that everybody will enjoy this episode. I know they're going to be like, this is dope and awesome. And I would also love for you to tell us before we end this episode, what book are you currently reading or that you have finished reading?
Okay, I read for enjoyment,
Okay.
and I am reading One Night by Eric. Wait a minute, hold it. Can I step away for a minute?
Oh, sure. Go right ahead. No, go do your thing. Yes, please do. Please do.
Okay, here we go. I like books.
Yes.
Okay, this is One Night, Eric Jerome Dickey.
Okay.
Okay, so I like a lot of his works.
Nice.
And I thought this was the reason why I selected this book was because the two characters are going to experience a lot of life in just in one night.
Excuse me, I apologize. Thank you. Wow. Oh my goodness.
I'm thinking of the premise. What is going to happen that one night that's going to change both of their lives?
Whoa, whoa. Oh my god. Now that book, that book definitely is for adults, y'all. Right. Yeah. We don't want our young folks with that with that one night in their hand, okay?
Right. Okay, but again, we should never stop reading. And all reading is not necessarily for schoolwork or office work. So since I'm on summer break, I'm on the sofa.
Hello.
Reading for relaxation.
Hey, I love it. I love it. And I love how I appreciate you even just, making sure that you say that part, because that's one of the things that we make sure we have to implement in our children is that reading should be synonymous with pleasure. Yes. They should not look at reading as, oh my God, I cannot stand this, because that is one of the things our children will say, because it's always equated with, if you don't read, you ain't gonna pass that test, you gonna pass that test, and you ain't gonna be nothing, then it starts going down this, endless spiral of just negativity. So the kid is like, huh, oh my God, but get it then, I don't want to do it. And it's right. Like, no, you know what I'm saying? Like Miss Pamela said in the beginning, find out what your children are interested in. And then that's how you are able to guide them into choosing a book that will be best for them. So I love it, Miss Pamela. Oh my goodness. And I also, before we go, I would like to end with this quote. And this quote is by Malcolm X. And he said, one of the many things that he said, read absolutely everything you get your hands on, because you'll never know where you'll get an idea from.
Absolutely.
All right. Yes, and that's for sure. Absolutely, no doubt. Thank you again, Miss Pamela, for joining me. This was awesome. I hope you felt it was awesome like I did. Yes, and we appreciate you. I want to give you your flowers now. We appreciate what you are doing for our youth. And I pray that you continue to do that and get better and to keep, making an impact, on our community. And in particular in the Black community when it comes to literacy. And you be blessed.
Thank you. You as well. Thank you for the invite.
Thank you. All right, you all. Thank you for tuning in for Real Reading Talk. I'm your host, Miss Sasha. Please make sure that you continue to read for at least 30 minutes a day. Peace.